Hi, I want to welcome everybody to Marina Fire Department's Basic Drone Introduction. This is going to be the introduction to our drone program, so it's the first class. If you don't know me, my name is Jesse Alvarenga, and let's get started. So what we're going to be going through today is going to be common terminology, the words that we use when we're talking, some words that you might hear that you might not be familiar with right now, pilot requirements, the type of deployments we're going to be called out to, our drones, as far as Marina fire drones that we have currently on our fleet, mobile apps that are good to have, and we're going to be discussing also a quiz. So there will be a quiz later on when we actually meet in person. So just pay attention, and if I need to go back in this presentation, feel free to. So common terminology. Some of the words that you might hear while you're flying the drone or in the class. One of the ones that you might hear is pilot in command. This is the drone operator. So the FAA actually recognizes the operator as a pilot. So welcome to Top Gun, everybody. Another term you might hear is VO. So it's going to stand for Visual Observer. This is the person helping the pilot while the drone's up in the air. What this person's responsibility is to look out for any obstacles that might be in the drone's way. For example, any trees, birds, power lines. Basically what he's doing is assisting the pilot while the drone's up in the air. UAS is another term for drone, so unmanned aerial systems. SUAS is small unmanned aircraft system, also another term for drone. UAV is unmanned aerial vehicle, another fancy term for drone. Visual line of sight, so we want to make sure what this term is referring to is making sure that we keep the drone within line of sight from the pilot and the VO. Above ground level, this is going to be what we're flying off of, so whatever surface we might be flying off of, so parking lots, roofs, building roofs, etc. This is going to be the space above us. Temporary flight restrictions, TFR. Notice to airman. This is time-critical aeronautical information which is provided to air traffic control towers within 5-mile radius of the drone. FAA stands for Federal Aviation Administration. CS is going to be your control station, in other words, the remote you're using to fly the drone. COA is going to be your certificate of waiver or authorization. It's issued by the FAA and grants permission to fly within specific boundaries and parameters. Pilot requirements. Our policy can be found in Lexipol. It's policy 340. It's important that you review it and are familiar with it. If you haven't done so already, please review it. We'll also be going through it more in depth in our in-person portion of the class. If you don't have access to Lexipol, please get in touch with me so I can get you a copy of this policy and you can get familiar with it. Part of the requirements of us as pilots is to join the response groups. So we want to respond to incidents, provide mutual aid to other agencies, and also follow our SOPs in relation to our COA. Our pilot requirements, we want to maintain flight hour requirements. So we're going to do 3 takeoffs and 3 landings every 90 days. We're also going to pass an initial written test. And also we must take and pass an aeronautical knowledge test every 24 months. Another pilot requirement is to report any accidents resulting in significant damage or injury. So the FAA must be notified within 10 days if serious injury to any person or damage to any property other than the drone in excess of $500 to repair or replace the property, whichever is lower. And if this happens, please let me know as soon as possible so we can take care of it. Type of deployments. So obviously there's a lot of incidents that we can use a drone in, but here are some. One that jumps out to us here in Marina is the beach. Drones can be used to fly out flotation devices to people. Currently, we don't have a drone that's capable of doing that in our fleet, but hopefully we will soon. We can also use it to cover large areas on the beach fast, because our drone can take off fairly quick. Also to fires, so one of our drones does have a onboard thermal imaging camera that we can use on structure fires and get an aerial view for the IC, incident commander. In wildland situations, we can get an aerial view of what the fire is doing. Also for tracking personnel on that fire. The picture on the right is actually the fire here in Marina at the airport, by the airport, and you can clearly see the crews working the fire there. Hazmat might be another type of deployment we might get called out to, being that we might not be able to get close enough to the incident for safety reasons. We can actually fly out the drone and get a closer view of whatever material might be leaking. In this case, we have a rail car. The drone was able to get close enough to get the numbers on the side of the rail car without putting any personnel in danger or in harm's way. So they can come in handy for that too. Alright, so Marina fire drones. These are the current drones that we actually have on our fleet as of right now. We have a DJI MAVIC Mini 2, which is a great little drone. It's brand new. It's tiny. It's really compact. And particularly what we're going to be using this for is for training, but it can also be used for incidents. It's not going to just be used for training. The second drone that we have is a DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. This is the bigger drone. This drone was actually donated by the Calvary Church here in Marina. This is a dual camera drone, so it has a thermal imaging camera and a regular camera on it. It's a great little drone. And both of these are made by DJI. DJI is a company that makes these drones. Okay, so the first one we're going to start talking about is the DJI Mavic Mini, the little one in our fleet. So the DJI Mavic Mini is extremely compact. You can unfold it and fold it. It weighs only 249 grams, which means we don't have to register it with the FAA because of its size. But don't let that fool you. It's actually a pretty powerful little drone and pretty fun to fly as well. Flight time is 31 minutes per battery in ideal conditions. So this means in a lab. In real life, you're going to get less time, being that we have to deal with weather, temperatures, and flight characteristics. For example, if you're flying faster, you're going to use up more battery. So realistically, you're probably looking at about maybe 20 minutes. The range is going to be 10 kilometers or 6.2 miles on this drone. Again, this is in ideal conditions. Realistically, we're going to be flying less than that, and 6.2 miles is pretty far. We won't be able to see it, so we want to make sure that we keep it within visual line of sight. It's a level 5 wind resistance, so it can handle 19 to 24 mile per hour winds. The DJI Mavic Mini 2 also has OcuSync 2.0 transmission, which is more reliable at transmitting signal from the control to the drone. And you're going to find this system in bigger drones as well. For example, our DJI Mavic Enterprise has OcuSync 2.0, which is more reliable. The camera is 4K video with a 2x digital zoom. And the photos are 12 megapixels. And no obstacle avoidance, which means that it has no sensors around it. So if you're going to fly towards something, for example a wall, there's nothing stopping it other than yourself as a pilot. So if you're flying towards a wall, it's not going to stop itself. It's going to crash into the wall if you don't stop it. So the next drone that we have in our fleet is the DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual. Again, this was donated by the Calvary Church, Baptist Church here in Marina. So we want to say thank you for their generous donation to us. So the DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual was designed with first responders in mind. Flight time is going to be 31 minutes with no accessories and 25 minutes with accessories attached to it. This is going to be in ideal conditions for us here. We're battling weather, wind, temperature, and also the way we fly it is going to impact the flight time. In real life, we're probably looking at more of 17 to 25 minutes, depending on how we're flying the drone. Range is going to be 6.2 miles in ideal conditions. I want to remind everyone that we also have to fly in visual line of sight. So we want to keep that in mind. We want to make sure that we can see the drone while it's flying. Max speed is going to be 44 miles per hour with no wind. This might increase if we're flying with the wind, and it might decrease if we're flying against the wind. The Mavic 2 Enterprise also features onboard storage, so it can save videos and pictures to the actual drone. It has an SD card to extend that memory as well. The DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual also features omnidirectional obstacle sensing. It has 8 sensors in total to help the pilot avoid obstacles. There's 2 in the front and rear, 3 on the bottom, and 1 on the top. These can also be turned off and on by the pilot if necessary. There's also a light on the bottom to help locate the drone while it's in flight and also to help with landings. You might be asking yourself, why would you turn off the sensors? Well, sometimes we're going to be flying in tight areas where the sensors need to be turned off so the drone will continue flight. If the sensors are on, it's going to pick up the obstacle and stop the drone from flying in these tight areas. So that's why you'd want to turn off the sensors. The DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise features a dual camera, which means the camera itself has a thermal imaging camera and a regular camera. The thermal imaging camera is a FLIR MSX, and the regular camera is a 4K camera. In the past, with other drones, you'd have to land them to switch between a thermal imaging camera and a regular camera. With this drone, you can switch from thermal imaging to the regular camera mid-flight, so no more need for landing. The DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise also comes with attachments. The first attachment we're going to be talking about is the spotlight. This helps to light up areas with low light. The light features 2,400 lumens. The second attachment is the loudspeaker with 100 decibels. It's actually pretty loud. Start losing the hearing capability maybe about 50 feet up in the air. So as long as you're lower than that, you can hear it pretty clearly. This is one-way communication, so it can only you can only speak out of it. You can't hear back. The third attachment is going to be the beacon. The beacon or strobe light is intended to enhance safety when conducting missions in low light areas, allowing other pilots to easily spot the drone from a distance, or even yourself as the pilot. Another cool accessory of the DJI Mavic 2 Enterprise that we got with our drone is a smart controller. The smart controller has a built-in screen, no need for a display device such as a phone or tablet. The screen is double the brightness of most devices, so it comes in handy in brightly lit areas. It takes 2 hours to charge it, and you have 2.5 hours of work time. Built-in storage and HDMI outputs to be able to hook up to TVs or bigger monitors so other people can view what you're viewing. And it also features detachable joysticks for ease of travel. Okay, so moving on to the apps we'll be using. The first app that we're going to talk about is Before You Fly. This app was made actually by the FAA to help pilots know what kind of airspace they're going to be flying in. Also to let them know of nearby airports that might be in the area that you're flying in. So here we have on the left hand picture This is going to be where the fire station is at, here on Palm Avenue on Marina. Here you can see that it's in green, so it's clear to take off. On the right hand picture, this is going to be in Monterey at the Naval Postgraduate School. This area is restricted, being that it's a military facility, so we wouldn't be able to fly in this area. The drone itself won't actually take off in this area. With that being said, the DJI Enterprise Dual will be able to take off once we unlock it. As of right now, it's still locked. Eventually, here in the near future, we will be unlocking that so we can fly in those areas with proper permission. Another app we'll be using is UAV Forecast. What this app lets you know is the weather conditions in the area you're going to be taking off. So for example, this was taken at Marina Station 1 on Palm Avenue. We got a good to fly. It's a nice sunny day. It also features the sunrise and sunset, current temperature of the day, wind speeds, also wind gust speeds, and wind direction. This app's going to come in handy here on the beach, actually in Marina, since it can get pretty windy. We want to make sure that we check this app before we take off, making sure that the weather and wind in particular is in our favor. The DJI Fly app is what we're going to be using for the DJI MAVIC Mini 2. This is basically going to be downloaded to either your phone or tablet, whatever you're using to fly the DJI MAVIC 2. Since it doesn't come with a smart controller, we need a device to show us the screen, what the actual camera is doing on the drone. What this features is, what this app features is your battery life, how many satellites you have hooked up to the drone, how high you're flying, the distance from you to the drone, and it also gives you the controls for the camera. So if you want to switch between camera to camcorder, and you can also view pictures through this app. And this is going to be downloaded to a tablet or phone to fly with the DJI MAVIC Mini 2. Okay, so this is going to conclude our first class. I want to thank everybody for watching and also for taking time to be part of this program. Remember, there's going to be a short quiz when we meet based on this presentation. If you guys need to go back and review the presentation, feel free to. I'm also going to be emailing the schedule for training here in the near future. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime. I'm usually available most of the time. Just text me, call me, email me, whatever you prefer. I want to thank Chief Hinckley, Cap Snooty, and Ben Smith from Seaside Fire, who have been a tremendous help for us in getting this program up and running and giving me pretty much all the information to put this program together. Thank you, and I'll be seeing you guys soon.